As someone that builds a lot of WordPress online course sites, we run into a ton of sites that have way, way, way too many WordPress plugins. Now, plugins is a way of enhancing the function you get in your WordPress site, and it's actually a really good thing. It's a very self-contained way to write your code to add features, and you can add features like, okay, let's add e-commerce functions, or let's add membership functions, or let's add a learning management system. Plugins is actually a great thing. However, we run into sites that when we encounter them, they have way too many plugins. We ran into one in the spring that had 115. We recently, this is just this past week, started working on a project where we had 57 plugins, and after our team worked on it, it went down to 24. Now, the number is not as important as the reason why you get there. So what typically happens is someone is building an online course site, for example, and that's the space that we're in. And what they do is they start with the right number of plugins based on what they're trying to do, and then they run into a problem. And then they do a search and they go, oh, I can solve this problem by installing a plugin. And they install the plugin. Then they go, they move ahead, they run into another problem, and they go, oh, I can use this plugin to fix it. And this happens over time, and before you know it, there's this huge accumulation of plugins, which by themselves is not a problem. What happens, though, is that these plugins have to be updated. When WordPress gets updated, the plugins can have a conflict or a problem with WordPress. They can have a conflict with each other, and that can cause your site literally to go down. And in many cases, what happens when you don't update your plugin is there's a vulnerability that the hackers or the malware builders can attack, and then they bring your site down, or they have some sort of bogus information posted on your site, all the bad things that happen. So having so many plugins is a really big problem. Now, what we have found is, because it's the first time building an online course site, what a lot of folks will do is they do that one plugin and then one plugin, and it's death by 1,000 plugins problem. But if you built a lot of these sites before, like we have, you know that one plugin or one tool can do the job that 3 or 4 plugins are doing. And what you can find is you're using a plugin when there might be another way to go about doing it. And because it's your first time building a website like this, you just don't know any better. You don't know what the best practices are. You don't know, hey, if you spend just a little bit of money on this paid for plugin instead of going for 7 or 15 different free plugins, not only do you reduce the plugin count, but you get a lot of the features that you're needing without the risk that comes with having so many plugins. So, this is a disease that we've run into in a lot of WordPress sites. Just this past week, a client that we've been working on and had a little bit of plugin mania, mayhem there. They got hacked, and they got hacked probably, although this is hard to tell 100%, because some hacker out there took advantage of a vulnerability in one of their plugins, and that's how they were able to get in. And the site came down, their customers were upset, and just working with someone who understands these sites really well, understands how is it that you can make use of better ways to build things, will not only make the site more reliable and by the way perform better, but it will also make it easier to manage and enhance over time. So just throwing it out there, anybody that's a member of our group will get free access to a call with me or someone on my team, and we'll go over things like this, no charge. But then we can talk, maybe just the advice we give you on our short calls would be enough, but maybe working with a team like ours or doing an audit of your site is something that could be beneficial to you. So, hope this kind of information helps. Let me know if you have any questions.